I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
Finally, The Rock has come back. I hate this idea that you're the best.
And if you're not down with that, we got two words for ya!
I'm the best in the world.
I fight at WrestleMania for the very, very small percentage of people that walk this planet and say I am proud to be, I'm sorry, a professional wrestler.
Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
It's Podcast of the Immortals with your hosts, Matt Bush and Jimmy Bellamy.
All right, welcome to episode 32, Podcasting Immortals. I'm Matt Bush.
I'm Jimmy Bellamy.
And we have an awesome show for you today. Pretty good Raw last night. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we watched it together. I think this is the second or third time we've watched. Second time we've watched it together. Yeah. And bear with us. We did pretty much see the whole thing, but due to a thunderstorm in our area and direct TV, we did miss a little bit. It got glitchy. Some parts skipped. But we got the gist of the whole show. We watched, I'd say, 8/9 of the show. I'd say 8/9 of the show we saw.
A good 88%.
Yeah,
right?
And then we have Mo going crazy now because the door opened. But we saw most of the show, and then what we didn't see, we read about. So we know. And I mean, it was like a promo here. We didn't miss any matches,
which was good because there were some good matches last night.
Yeah.
But before we get into Raw, we're going to hit into Wrestle News, and we want to also mention WrestleNews.com. If you ever want to check out news, find the home of our podcast, go to Wrestle News with a Z, WrestleNews.com. It's awesome.
Yes, and they are on Twitter at WrestleNews. Mm-hmm. And we are at Immortals PCast.
Yes. So Wrestle News number one. Of course, I have to have my Goldberg news of the week. Bill Goldberg says that he isn't booked. This is with the Miami Herald that he was talking to. Says he's not booked for WrestleMania 30, despite rumors and reports going around that saying he was in negotiations. He said he has talked to them recently because of the video game deal. He's got the DVD coming out, the Goldberg Special Edition DVD.
How excited are you for that?
I'm very excited. Yeah, I'm pumped for that. But he says he's not shutting the door on WrestleMania 30. He said he'd love to come back and take on either The Undertaker or Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he said he wants those matches because those are matches that fans would want to see, especially the Stone Cold match, because that's the match that, I mean, they were both the guys in each respective wrestling promotion during the biggest era of wrestling. So he thinks everyone would enjoy that match.
Depending on the year and depending on your view, it was Goldberg and Hogan.
Yeah,
it was Goldberg for all of WCW. Hogan for NWO specifically. We got Hogan Rock at WrestleMania 18, so it would make sense to see Goldberg Austin. They were the two guys, bald guys, goatees, black trunks.
Yep, and they always had that debate, because they looked like each other and they didn't have similar styles or anything.
Not at all, not even close.
But yeah, they were both the champions and they both had the goatees, bald head, black trunks. So that's a match I'd like to see. But then Goldberg goes on to just absolutely bury Ryback once again. And I actually wrote down the quote.
The big guy.
Yeah, and he's talking about Ryback being compared to himself. He goes, I don't think it was his idea to change his gimmick up. He's just taking direction. It gets annoying. It surely got annoying when people called me Steve Austin. But at the end of the day, I took it as a compliment. If I was Ryback or whatever his name is, and I'm not going to be sitting here on my high horse, but hey man, you have to look in the mirror and say, thank God they are comparing him to me. I got more talent in one finger than that punk has in his entire body. I have at 46 years old more presence than he could have in his entire life. The only reason I'm adamantly antagonized is because he has opened his mouth a couple times as of late. I guess he was over in Europe and he said he took a big Goldberg or something. Ask Triple H, I don't like people talking about me when I'm not in the business. Ryback, if I see you around, you better hold on tight. That's all I got to say. This ain't the WWE. This is called life.
Yeah, that sounds like a wrestling promo.
It does. So obviously the groundwork could be set for the Goldberg Ryback match. If they wanted to go that route and Goldberg was up for it, I don't want to see that match.
No, and I don't want to see him fight anybody who's current unless he plans on losing. And I don't see Goldberg coming back to lose a match. And I really don't want him to lose, but I wouldn't want him to come and beat Ryback, because what's that do for Ryback? Yeah. Nothing. He's the Goldberg chants aren't going to stop, and he's not going to get anywhere with a loss to Goldberg.
Yeah, it was kind of... I don't know. I definitely don't want to see that match. I don't think it'd be a good match.
Unless you had Goldberg come in and interfere on Ryback's behalf.
That's the match I want to see. Goldberg versus Goldberg. Or
I think we did see that. I could be wrong. I think we did see Goldberg v. Goldberg.
Really?
I think so. You could YouTube that someday. I think we did see that.
Goldberg versus Jericho might be interesting too.
Yeah, that would be sweet.
Yeah, the match we never got.
Battle of the part-time performers.
Yeah. All right, so that's our Goldberg news for the week. I'm pumped about it, especially since might be going to WrestleMania 30.
Hooray!
Wrestle news number 2, September 13th is a very important date in WWE history. It's the anniversary of Jerry Lawler's heart attack. And to celebrate this, Jerry Lawler is going to get back into the ring on September 13th to wrestle against Austin Idol at the Jerry Lawler Museum in Tunica, Missouri. Or Mississippi. I don't know. MS.
That's Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah. Missouri is Mo. M-O.
It is. Yes, it is.
Not that Mo.
No.
Well, good for him. I know he's wanted to get back. Now, has he not fought since then? I know he hasn't been on WWE television wrestling, but has he wrestled independently since then?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
But I think it's a weird way to celebrate an anniversary of a heart attack.
I think it's a way of showing that you're not letting it slow you down or stop you or be afraid to do what you normally do. One thing that astonishes me about Jerry Lawler is that he doesn't work out, or at least he didn't prior to the heart attack. Throughout his career, he never worked out, and several wrestlers have said that. He just never worked out, ever. And I mean, he doesn't look like somebody who works out, but I guess he's always kind of had that bowling ball wrestler look, at least when he was in his prime.
Yeah, barely chest.
Yeah, but maybe that heart attack was an endorsement for somebody who should start working out. That's not to say there aren't people who work out all the time and drop dead for whatever reason, myriad reasons, but good for him. I hope he does wrestle, and I hope it's successful for him.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that he's getting back into the ring, considering what happened when he was just commentating.
Well, he wrestled prior, that night.
Yeah, prior in the night.
And I think he said he doesn't remember a lot of that match.
Wow.
And so I'm sure he was experiencing a heart attack during that time earlier in the day. I know people can experience a heart attack for hours before they realize I'm having a heart attack. I'm not surprised, just because this is what he's done his whole life, and it would be hard to come to grips with. I mean, you look at anybody in entertainment, whether it's pro wrestling, sports, or people who can't let go musically when their best days are behind them. It's hard for them to stop doing what they've always done. It's hard to give that up, and I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Flair, Hogan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, boxers and then wrestlers in particular, they have a hard time staying away.
Bob Dylan, a month or so.
Did he wrestle?
Yeah, he was wrestling at the deck.
That was July 9th, Bayfront.
Yeah, I was at the Bob Dylan concert here in Duluth, and I'm like, oh, all right, Bob Dylan, and then he's singing, and I'm like, it doesn't sound like Bob Dylan, but it was still cool to see him. But it was more of a nostalgia act, kind of, you know. Yeah. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, at 73, the guy who really couldn't sing in the first place really can't sing now.
He sounds like he's had way too many cigarettes and alcohol, alcoholic drinks in his time.
It's possible.
Yeah. Wrestle news number 3, Ted DiBiase Jr. leaving the WWE, not renewing his contract. I was surprised. I thought this was news from like a year ago.
No,
because we haven't seen him in a long time.
I get it.
Yeah.
I think he has 1 or 2 kids, young kids, and I think he's married.
And he comes from money.
Of course.
So he doesn't have to work.
It's funny, when he came around in, was it 2007 or 6? I remember Cody Rhodes was tag team partners with Hardcore Holly, and DiBiase was coming around, and Rhodes and Holly were baby faces. DiBiase kept coming by saying, you need to join up with me, and Rhodes kept turning him down. And then, out of nowhere, it was pretty predictable. Rhodes turned on Holly, joined DiBiase, and then not long after that, they joined Orton and created Legacy. And then Jimmy Snuka's son, Sim, who used to be Deuce of Deuce and Domino, he joined them briefly. And then, God, it was like one of the Head Shrinkers kids.
Really?
I can't remember his name, but
Did Tamina Snuka join up?
She did not.
Natalia?
But no women did. But I cannot remember this dude's name. I can't remember if he was like related to Afa or Sika. I think it was Afa's.
Did the
kid.
Usos?
No, just no one else did. Just the people I'm mentioning. And they lasted like 1 or 2 Raws, and that was it. And then they were gone. Gotcha. And then it was just the 3-man legacy. And Ted DiBiase looked like the one who was going to be the star.
Really?
Yeah. Cody Rhodes looked like he just didn't quite fit in, and then it just flipped. And it flipped at some point when they were the tag team champions together. And I know I'm not making that up. I know they were the tag champs, like Rhodes and DiBiase, and it was sometime during that run where it changed. Rhodes was clearly the guy, and he was positioned as so too, and it's turned out nicely. Rhodes is one of my favorite wrestlers. I always liked DiBiase, but he's not ruling out a return someday.
He needed a Virgil.
Well, this could be a good boost for him, just coming back another time, whether it's in a year or 2 or 3. Yeah. He needs that fresh start. He needs to just find that, that DiBiase posse thing didn't work. I mean, I can see them in the back saying, gosh, what rhymes with DiBiase? Posse rhymes with DiBiase.
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, it was stupid. Same with the I Come From Money.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand. If you wanted to they could have done that right. They could have had his dad involved. They could have had more of a corporate look to him, not this, T-Pain auto-tune I Come From Money song, and that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I wish him the best, and I think if and when he does return in a couple of years, it will be good for him. That way he can get a clean start.
Yeah, he was always, I always thought he was decent in the ring, but I never felt anything, I never cared about his matches. I never was invested in his character at all. He never got over with the crowd or with me, and it just felt, all right, well, there he is. He's the son of a guy I used to like,
He lost a lot of momentum in that Legacy turn, because that Legacy breakup, at first it was, I think they split from Orton and remained a tag team for a little while, and then it just kind of fell apart, and they had that initial feud with each other, Rhodes and DiBiase, and then DiBiase really wasn't heard from after that too much. He had the $1 million championship for a little bit, but nothing really.
Well, then wasn't he injured pretty severely in the last year or so?
I don't know. I just haven't seen him on, so I didn't know if he was.
I feel like that's why he missed a lot of time, and he was actually starting to do okay on SmackDown, getting a little bit of a push, and the DiBiase posse was doing some stuff, he had the interaction with the fans.
Did the tailgating.
Yeah, did the tailgating, and people seem to really like that.
Don't forget,
he got injured.
He was the star of the Marine 2.
That's true. So obviously the company had some faith in him, like The Miz.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I have for wrestling news. Did you have anything?
No, I rely on you for my wrestle news, and I'm hoping we'll get more wrestle news when it comes to someone possibly coming to the aid of Daniel Bryan. Maybe it'd be like a guy like Dave Bautista or somebody. That'd be kind of cool, but that's just a dream. I haven't heard anything.
Bill Goldberg?
Well, Batista would make sense, going after Orton and Triple H, but maybe Flair joins him too. A drunk Flair.
Woo! That should be his character if he comes back. He's just drunk all the time.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, that's what we need on the PG show. All right.
Art imitating life.
So we'll get into Monday Night Raw now. Triple H opens the show with a promo. He had the Shield out there again, being his bodyguard, which I love. I love that angle.
Yeah.
I just think it makes sense, and it's cool. They look like they're bodyguards, so they've always dressed that way. Triple H says that the ratings are through the roof on all the shows, on SmackDown, on Raw, on Total Divas, everything. So, and he says that this is all because of him and him installing the new face of the company or corporation, and that is, of course, Randy Orton. And Randy Orton comes out, and he's followed by Daniel Bryan. Daniel thanks the fans because they've believed in him, and it means a lot to him. The yes chants explode at this point. He then thanks John Cena for giving him the opportunity at SummerSlam, and then he thanks Triple H. What? Why would he do that? He thanks him for showing his true colors at SummerSlam, and then compares him to Vince McMahon. And of course, the evil Vince McMahon, chairman of the board, Vince McMahon, and says that he'll change the face of the WWE Championship when he wins it. And to respond to this, Triple H puts him into a gauntlet match with Seth Rollins, followed by Dean Ambrose, and then Roman Reigns. That was gonna be sweet. I was excited when he announced that.
Brian had a similar speech on SmackDown on Friday where he thanked John Cena and he thanked the fans. And then on Monday night with the absence of the McMahons, it was just Triple H and Orton. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get any clear, defined corporation or faction. There was no mention of the word corporation. There was no indication that the Shield were permanent members of this alliance. I'm hoping that it continues to build, but it looks like I don't know, without Stephanie and Vince present on TV, and I hate to even say this, it kind of seemed like a step backwards. I usually don't mind Stephanie and Vince being off of TV. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm hesitant to say that. But this I did not check the ratings. I usually do look at the ratings, but I don't know if that's a fact that ratings are up. I'm sure they're not through the roof, but they might be. They may have. The Raw after SummerSlam probably did see a little bit of an increase, but again, with Bryan being positioned to be the star, it's been a great time to watch. And of course, later in the show, when they involved other wrestlers, that's the part I'm most interested in, is who else will get involved for both sides. Yeah, that's what I want to see.
We haven't had a storyline like that where it involves a lot of people. You know, it's always been just the one-on-one or, whatever, two-on-one, like Heyman and Punk and Lesnar, or, Undertaker, Punk, or whatever you want. It's usually just kind of a couple guys, but now with the faction, and you got, there's so many moving elements that other people can get drawn into it or screwed over or join the cause. I'm really excited to see what happens with that angle. But Triple H did sound kind of like Donald Trump when the Apprentice kind of blew up. We got the biggest show in the world, just being an idiot. But yeah, talk to me when you get an 8 rating, okay? Back in the day when Rock and Sock Connection were running wild on Raw, okay? Until then, cool it on the rating stocks.
They have good elements in place for SummerSlam, but between now and then we have Night of Champions, Battleground, and Hell in a Cell.
For SummerSlam, you said?
Yeah, or SummerSlam, Survivor Series. I get my SS pay-per-views mixed up. But we have Night of Champions, Battleground, which is the new pay-per-view, and then Hell in a Cell. And it looks like Battleground and Hell in a Cell both will be October pay-per-views.
Really?
Yeah. And then we have Survivor Series in November, of course, which is traditionally the team matches. And I could see us get a nice little 2 to 3 month storyline that culminates in something at Survivor Series, which I'm all for.
Yeah.
Another part of the show, Triple H presented Randy Orton with a Chevy. Was it a Chevy Escalade?
It was a Cadillac Escalade.
Cadillac Escalade. Yes. Chevy. I knew Chevy Escalade did not sound right.
No.
Not a great car mind. Cadillac Escalade. And one lesson learned from this is Randy Orton should never, ever, ever, ever again get cars on Raw. Because if you remember in 2009 or 2010, he had a race car there with his image on it, and it was going to be run in some NASCAR event. And Kofi Kingston, I think, covered it in paint and then destroyed it by smashing the window and denting it and beating it up.
Wow. Well, Randy Orton got the best of that situation because he had him de-pushed.
Yes.
So, Guess he should have kept the hands off the race car there, Kofi.
Kofi had and God, they had a couple good matches too. And I think later on in that night, Kofi had a great scene. It was from the crowd where he jumped off a railing and onto a table that was holding Orton. And I thought, oh, this is the big push of Kofi Kingston, but it lost a lot of steam after that. Anytime
they make a special emphasis on a vehicle, you know something's going to happen to that thing. Yeah. I mean, you had the Vince's. What was the thing where he poured the cement? What kind of car was that?
Convertible.
Yeah, it was some kind of convertible. But of course Austin dumps the cement right into it, and windows pop out. It was just perfect.
God, they had a lot of automobile mayhem back in the late 90s and early
Vince's
2000s.
limo that blew up.
Vince's limos had several. They've had several encounters with limos. Austin, I think, had one where he picked up the limo in a crane and then dropped it, and Vince was supposedly in it. And then, of course, we had the blow up that you mentioned back in 2007. I think that was during the Benoit death. Yeah, a lot of stuff. The Zamboni.
Del Rio's car at WrestleMania 27. Yeah. The Edge kind of destroyed. There's always...
Rikishi hitting Austin with a car.
Yeah.
I did it for The Rock.
But yeah, there's never like, oh, look at this awesome car, and then it just is fine. You know?
Although this is funny. This week, we're skipping ahead to this part. The Escalade did not get beat up, I guess. It didn't get dented. It didn't get smashed. They spray painted it. Brian spray painted yes all over it, allegedly.
With like the paint that they use for like, we're going to state.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. It was clearly something that was easily washable.
Yeah. So Prom Seniors 2013.
Yeah, they didn't deface it permanently, which was good to see. I wonder sometimes on those shows, I'm like, they just waste some of these cars.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But it's for our entertainment.
Yeah, it is, and that's
all I care about. Yeah. Cody Rhodes took on Fandango with the first match. Of course, Damien Sandow's on the mic. And we've been seeing a lot of tropes on Raw lately.
Tropes?
Tropes.
Is that a new word for me?
You don't know tropes?
No.
I thought you would know tropes. A trope is like a recurring theme that happens a lot. Like when on TV, when they have a phone call, they never say goodbye. They, they just hang up. That's a trope. And a trope on Raw is that when there's someone in a feud and they're not wrestling him, that other person's going to be on mic. And that's what they did with Damien Sandow being on mic with the announcers during this match.
I did not expect to learn something today. Nice work,
you go.
Dude.
Thank you. So that's been happening a lot. And we're going to talk about another trope in a little bit, too. But yeah, and basically I just want to make note of that because that's been happening way, way, way too often. They go to their reliant, they do the same things over and over. They need to switch it up a little bit. Miz interrupts with Fandango's music during the match, and he starts dancing, and it kind of cut out. And I was kind of bummed because I wanted to see Miz dance because he came out and he had a high kick, and we lost our feed because of the thunderstorm. And
Rosa Mendez was with him looking gorgeous.
I think it was Rosa.
It was
Mendez.
her. Okay. I went back and saw a picture on Twitter. And
it was good that she's back because we haven't seen her in a while. She got into some heat, actually. I forget what
didn't she leave a trip in Australia?
She did something, yeah.
I think she had a little too much to drinky or something.
It was bad, yeah. I think she went on Twitter and did some stuff, too.
Okay.
But yeah, so Fandango, of course, is distracted and gets rolled up for the victory as Rhodes wins. And that's another trope I want to talk about.
It's your favorite trope.
Yeah, and I noticed that a few times last night even. Anytime someone is distracted in the ring by something outside of the ring, they guaranteed will not kick out of a roll-up. The roll-up becomes like...
It's like a championship belt to the skull.
Yeah, you are not ever kicking out of a roll-up if you're distracted. If it's a regular roll-up and you're in the match, you're never getting pinned, but... If you're distracted, you're done. Because
your legs and your shoulders don't work.
They go numb when you're distracted.
You're thinking about what's on, and you're also thinking, I can't wait to get this match over as quickly as possible so I can get out there and deal with the distraction.
Yeah. I mean, they become Supermen, basically. It's like the most powerful roll-ups of all time.
That's something I'd like to see them incorporate into the video games now.
Yeah.
Is that if you go for a roll-up while your opponent's distracted,
you automatically win.
You win. By the way, not to cut people off or just totally go off the tracks. We'll get my cliches right. I was playing WWE 13 about a week and a half ago, and I was Tensai, my world heavyweight champion, and I was fighting Big Show on SmackDown right before the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, where the two were going to meet in a one-on-one championship match. And this was a non-title match on SmackDown. I was Tensai, and I thought, all right, I'm just going to get DQ'd. I just want to end this match so I can go to the pay-per-view, and that's something a heel champion would do anyway, get DQ'd.
Sure.
So I clotheslined Show to start the match. I did a couple of power moves, and I went for a pin attempt, and he got pinned.
Really?
In like less than 20 seconds.
Just squashed it.
And I'm like, what? How did this happen? Because I didn't even do anything that I
Was
did.
the Big Show distracted?
Well, I'm wondering if he was. Maybe he had something going on, but no one came out or anything, and it was less than 20 seconds of the match, 3-4 moves at the most, including that clothesline, and he's pinned for a 3, and I was just stunned.
They are really pushing Tensai.
Yeah, I mean, Tensai has a ton of momentum.
He is looking strong right now.
His little momentum meter's at max.
Peak.
So
that's probably why, you know.
He's a stud.
The just momentum is it's a tangible thing in that.
He
game.
doesn't need Brodus.
No. So that was the whole match there. CM Punk took on Curtis Axel.
CM Punk.
Yeah, but they had a stipulation that the fans could vote on, and
one was Paul Heyman was barred from ringside.
You know, because that's what he'd want. What was the other?
Paul was guest referee.
Yeah, and then the third was if Punk wins, he gets to have Heyman in the ring alone. And that obviously won by 81% of the vote.
For 7 minutes.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to eat
in
poop,
the dark,
bacon, or dog farts?
Oh, God.
Bacon wins with an overwhelming 72%.
Those are so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I get it. They're trying. Congratulations. You incorporated the
universe.
I mean, I will never say WWE Universe after this right there. That's the last time you're going to hear that.
That's the last time you're ever going to say that?
Ever. So, not just on the podcast, but ever.
Wow. So if I said, like, I'd give you $1 if you said WWE Universe, you want to do that?
Nope.
Wow. Okay.
You give me $10, I'll do it. $5, I'll do it too.
So I guess you would say it again.
We'll think about it.
Okay.
If you present the money, we'll do that. But no, I mean, I'm going to call them fans. Just like I'm not going to say sports entertainment, wrestling, right? Wrestling.
Sure.
Even WWE superstars, because to me it's like, if you're writing about them, you have to say WWE wrestler, which is redundant in a way. But if you say superstar and you're talking about, you know, Epico,
yeah,
and you're writing a story for media, people are like, oh, this guy's a superstar?
Wow.
Really?
That's cool.
But no, I mean, they're all, you know, wrestlers. They're not all superstars. But I understand Vince wants them to know. They're all larger than life.
Yeah. I wonder if they have, like, ranks of superstars.
Like, there's super duper superstars.
Yeah. Like, John Cena would be Superman superstar.
He'd be would he be a meta superstar?
Meta superstar.
Or a hella big superstar?
Probably. Whatever the largest is, that's John Cena.
Or an ultra superstar.
That's John Cena.
Yeah.
So Punk wins the match with the GTS. It was a solid match. It was nothing really special.
It was okay. I just don't like Curtis Axel and CM Punk feuding. Unless Punk gives him a nice little rub and Axel comes out a stronger
It's
character.
not going to happen right now.
To me, it was better with Brock and Heyman. Having Axel and Heyman, it's just it doesn't seem parallel. It's a step down, but whatevs.
Heyman, of course, tries to weasel out and leave, but he's escorted back by refs and future jobbers.
Security.
Punk goes after Heyman in the corner, but Axel gives him a low blow. And then they actually handcuff CM Punk into the middle of the ring. And Heyman starts slapping him repeatedly. It was a really awkward thing. But Punk fights back and kicks Axel in the head and then begins kicking Heyman before Axel hits him with a chair. Heyman then whacks Punk with a kendo stick repeatedly and actually broke the kendo stick. And I was talking about
That's a trope too, right?
It is.
Kendo stick under the ring.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, when they're setting up the ring, you know, they're like, hey boss, what should I do with this kendo stick? And he's like, oh, I don't know, just throw it under the ring. No one will see it there. You know, like that's our only storage place or something.
And then there's other times where they're putting the ring together and like, damn it, we've got tables, we've got ladders, but we don't have kendo sticks.
Yeah.
Where are the kendo sticks?
Yeah, I just can't imagine like if it was a real company like UFC, like if the UFC fighter went to under the ring. I know they can't like go out of the ring, but if they looked under the ring, I'm sure there would be chairs and like kendo sticks and baseball bats.
But this is why we love professional wrestling.
Yeah, because
there's always a chance that you're going to find a foreign object.
Yeah,
I love weapons matches, and my favorite thing when I play wrestling video games always has been finding a weapon, finding a way to use it in a match where you can get DQ'd. Mm-hmm. So I love to knock the ref down. I love to distract the ref. I love to do all that stuff. Oh, it makes me feel good.
Remember Royal Rumble, that video game on like the Super Nintendo?
One of my favorites of all time.
I would win every single match the same way. I would knock out the ref. I would throw the guy to the outside. I'd hit him with the chair. The ref would get up and he'd count to 10 and I'd win.
Yeah. I did the same.
Like 20 seconds. Yeah, it was great.
That. And I would also eliminate guys in the Royal Rumble match before a third guy entered.
Oh, yeah.
So I would just stand in the ring by myself for a while.
Whip him off the thing and throw him over. And
they had some great wrestlers in that game, too.
They did.
Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, Undertaker, Yokozuna, Razor Ramon.
Was Hogan?
Crush was in it.
Yeah, he was.
No, this was post Hogan, and that was like blonde mullet Crush, Kona Crush, and I think Ted DiBiase might have been in that game too.
That was a fun game. I always liked doing the sharpshooter.
Mm-hmm. That was a great game.
Yeah.
That was where the Michaels Plex came into fruition. Every time I say fill in the blank Plex, it came from that game because this was pre-Sweet Chin Music. Shawn Michaels just did a simple back body drop, and that was his finisher in the game. And my brother Jeremy referred to it as the Michaels Plex just to be funny. And that's why we have like everything Plex.
20 years later, we're still doing it.
Yeah.
Natalya took on Brie Bella next, and
when the sunshine will shine together,
no, we'll be here forever.
You could stand under my Brie Bella.
Oh, that's why you get it. Okay, I was wondering, like, well, that's kind of weird to sing Rihanna right now.
The way you said Bella sounded like
Bella. Brie wins after some interference from Nikki and Ava Marie. AJ comes out and then drops her like pipe bomb on the entire Divas division. This was awesome. This was absolutely insane.
It was good, but it seemed ill-timed and out of place with the we had seven, counting JoJo, the ring announcer. We had 7 women in the ring or near the ring, and they're all like yelling stuff.
Yeah.
So the camera would pan to them during this.
They'd be like, hold me back.
And AJ would have some really good lines that would get lost on the TV audience, and I would imagine on the live audience as well, because you couldn't understand what she was saying half the time because you're listening to Nikki Bella yelling.
Yeah.
Say it to my face. And also, with someone like Natalya there, she needed to go confront AJ, and something needed to happen. And where was Caitlyn during all of this? You know, that didn't make sense. But there needed to be some kind of physical encounter.
Where was Tamina Snuka?
Yeah, that's true. I forget about Tamina Snuka. Did you know that she's Jimmy Snuka's daughter?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you heard it here first.
Yeah, breaking news. So I guess
podcast of the Immortals.
I guess I did have some wrestling news I forgot to mention.
Wow.
That's the only problem I had with it. It was a great promo, but I feel like it didn't have the impact that it should have based on how everyone else handled it. But AJ was awesome.
I loved it. Basically what you said was that all the divas had to resort to reality TV because they weren't good enough to do it in the ring, to get over in the ring, to become famous in the ring. Said that she's accomplished more in this past year than they have in their entire careers. Says she's there because she's good and she's talented, and not because she sucked up to the right people. And she really put that emphasis on sucked.
It's because you're not any good.
And in my notes, I wrote it in all caps.
Good for you.
Sucked. Up to the right people. And of course, then they panned to the Bellas like... I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was maybe the best women's promo I've heard ever, really.
It was the only time you've gotten to see something real from them. I mean, even with the feuds don't really... The women's storylines, they don't have a lot of substance, and I said it back when they play that cheap weight card. I think it's weak. It's giving up. It's lazy when you just play that body image card. And to me, you're better than that, WWE. And I mean, with that whole Be a Star campaign and everything, you probably should take your emphasis off of people, beautiful, terrifically in shape people, calling other beautiful, amazingly in shape people fat.
Yeah.
I mean, that's stupid. So this one had substance, and it was true. And it was funny that after the promo, JBL said, Crazy spoke the truth. And Lawler looked at him and goes, yeah, she did. So it was kind of funny to see them break character in a way by saying, yeah, she
got a point.
She's right.
Yeah. I thought it was brilliant. I can't wait to see where that leads. Mm-hmm. Because she basically pissed off the entire cast of Total Divas.
I got really into NXT this past week. I am an idiot and did not realize that it was on Hulu.com. I thought it was on Hulu Plus with a paid subscription, not realizing it was on free Hulu. So I saw the previous 2 weeks' episodes. Last week's episode was phenomenal. But after watching 2 episodes of NXT, the Divas of the future are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Summer Rae is a terrific wrestler.
Really?
And she wrestled Paige, who is, by all accounts and all the experts' opinions, she is the best women's wrestler probably ever.
Ever?
Ever.
Oh, wow.
And she's amazing. Now, to me, you're going to have a lot of work to do to top Lita. People love Trish Stratus, and from where Trish started to where she got, she made some incredible steps. But Lita, to me, is the best women's wrestler of all time. I think you could put Beth Phoenix up in the discussion of being a great wrestler. I think you could put Karma, Awesome Kong, Amazing Kong, whatever. Mm-hmm. She's Amazing Kong now, I think. You can put her up there. And you can put, I'd say, you know, you look at what the Knockouts division in TNA is able to do. They have some terrific matches. Yeah. And I mean, I liked Victoria.
Tessmacher.
Yeah, I liked Victoria and Tara when she was in TNA, and Gail Kim's great and never got the due that she deserved in WWE. But,
well, to her own.
Yeah, but people are saying Paige is the real deal, and just watch.
She's got a really unique look too,
and I
enjoy.
I saw AJ fight this woman named Bailey, whose independent name escapes me, but she had a pretty decent run as an independent wrestler. But she looked good.
What's the girl who? Emma or something like that?
Yeah, there's Emma.
Yeah. She does
Evolution.
Got the dance. Yeah.
People say good stuff about her too, but people are saying Paige is the real deal. And with this crop of women that they're developing in NXT, you're going to see a women's division that would make Kelly cry.
Yeah.
And I can't wait.
Yeah.
No, gone are the days of the Candice Michelles. That's a mistake. I don't mean to say that, because that's one of my pet peeves when people say, "Oh, you talk about the Adrian Petersons and the Randy Mosses." Like, there's more than one of them. I don't like that. So I didn't mean Candice Michelles.
I gotcha.
People like her, though.
Rob Van Dam.
Rob Van Dam
took on Alberto Del Rio. RVD wins with a roll-up after Ricardo distracts ADR with an RVD chant. Of course, the unstoppable roll-up, which we saw more than once last night.
Which was doubly effective since Ricardo got on the announce table to do this distraction.
Yeah, you're definitely not kicking out of that, unless you're Cena.
Hell nah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that, I think we kind of lost signal during that as well.
Yes, we did.
So we don't have much to say about it, but it looks like they're going forward with that feud. Yeah,
and that match meant that Van Dam is the number one contender for the World Heavyweight title. That match will happen at Night of Champions. I'm looking forward to that match.
Me too.
It's good to see RVD fight for a title. he never has held the World Heavyweight Championship.
Really? Yeah.
So he would be, I guess, you want to call him a Triple Crown winner, even though technically you would have to win a WCW title. But still, he'd be World Heavyweight, WWE, and EC Dub. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good. Christian versus RKO was next, and I love the match. Christian, week after week, show after show, has been absolutely awesome since his return.
At first, I think it was the heat. It was like 89 degrees last night. It was sticky, gross, uncomfortable when Matt and I were watching Raw. So I think at this point in the night, I was like, can we just, get this match over with? But I think 3-4 minutes into it, I was completely focused, and Christian has done really well. He had a couple spots, one in particular that looked a little dangerous.
Yeah, and he took that bump before. They've done that spot before where he's sitting on top of was it the turnbuckle?
Yeah.
And then Orton shoved him off of it, and then he fell and hit the mat and then flipped over onto the ground. Looked brutal, but if he's okay after that and he's comfortable doing it, more power to him. But that looked like a scary move.
On the replay, I saw that he used his hand to trace his way down the ropes as a guide. Still, though, if he continues to do that more, there's really no margin for error on that thing.
Greg Louganis himself.
Oh, it'd be dangerous.
But awesome match. Orton ends up winning after he rakes his thumb across Christian's eye when the ref had his back turned, and just an awesome match.
The thumb to the eye is one of my favorite moves.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. It's my signature move.
Great heel tactic.
Daniel Bryan pipes in after the match and reveals that he defaced Orton's new Cadillac with multiple yeses all over it. Again, with that, we're going to state paint. Triple H is, of course, upset with this when we return from break, and tells Brad Maddox to find every diva and superstar, bring them out to the ring to show them what will happen to Bryan next, and to show basically don't mess with the corporation.
And he was prompted to do that because Maddox said that people were laughing about it in the locker room.
Yeah.
So he said if anybody tries to help Bryan, or if anybody says anything, they will be fired.
Yeah, and this is when we lost some signal again. We lost quite a few things that... actually, we saw this next one. Titus O'Neil took on Jack Swagger. O'Neil wins. What's that?
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. Obviously, the Primetime players still getting their push, which is good to see. I do like Titus O'Neil. He's like 36 years old, though. Did you know that? Yeah,
I did.
But he's just a monster of a man.
It's weird to see Titus O'Neil beat Jack Swagger in 3 minutes and 17 seconds when Swagger's, just
4 months ago?
Yeah, just a few months removed from being in the World Heavyweight title match at WrestleMania.
I talked to you about this last night. Do you think Swagger was surprised at his push as we were? He's like, oh, I'm going to be in the main event? Or main event? Okay.
Probably the night of Elimination Chamber. Night of Elimination Chamber, I bet they told him before they went out, you're going over. And he's like, really?
Yeah, he looks behind himself, to see if there's anyone behind him that they're talking to. I still don't understand that push. I mean, it was kind of like Vince was like, well, they'll never expect this,
Yeah. Well, it looks like the whole theory behind it was that it was going to be this, for lack of a better term, redneck American, this we the people gimmick against, the Mexican hero Del Rio, and it never panned out. I mean,
Swagger kind of shot himself in the foot.
That really is what kind of killed it.
Yeah,
I mean,
with his DUI, and then Coulter. They got a lot of bad heat when Coulter came out for the first time, and Fox News was bashing him, and of course they had the Coulter, which is Ann Coulter, same last name,
spelled a little different though.
Well, yeah, it sounds.
And oh no, God forbid Fox News be upset with somebody.
I know. That definitely they toned it down after that and really hurt the whole angle, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus Swagger's a dipshit, but Swagger loses. Next up, we had a Bray Wyatt vignette, which we didn't see, but you read about it, so you want to talk about that?
Yeah, he said, from what I read, he said that, and I'm sure some of you saw it and know exactly what he said, so my apologies if I screwed up, but that a woman told him that the world was a scary place or something, but that fire made it better, or fire was, like, helped.
It's pretty clearly he's talking about Mae Young.
Yeah, pretty much. Mae Young wants to show her puppies.
And there's our annual phone call of the day. Who is it this time, Jimmy?
I can't think of anything funny.
Oh, darn it. Okay, well, so yeah, he's talking about fire and a lady.
And he says that this lady was beautiful and that her touch could save the world, but that her kiss could burn it to the ground. And he said he saw her take her last breath. And he said something like, I don't know if he said, I miss you, Sister Abigail, but he called her Sister Abigail, whatever. So are they going to bring a woman into the fold of the Wyatt family?
Could it be like a Mama Wyatt, or...
Well,
maybe it's a nun.
See, I'd like to think of it as somebody who can wrestle. Like, I don't think it's necessarily someone who's old.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be somebody from NXT being repackaged. It could be... I really don't know.
Could it be Tamina Snuka?
Oh, God.
The daughter of WWE Hall of Famer.
We'll see. But we're getting more people in the Wyatt clan, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine with me. Especially if it's a woman. That way they can kind of expand their reach and wreak havoc on the Divas division as well.
Yeah. I didn't see the vignette. I didn't read about it. But, I mean, it obviously leaves open a lot of possibilities. That's where they could go with it. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see what happens. And what the heck? Okay, our next thing that we also missed, the Punk, Heyman, and Axel match was set for Night of Champions. And you read about this as well.
Yeah, Maddox was talking to a doctor backstage. The doctor said someone was refusing medical attention. Punk came in, said he didn't want to see a doctor, and he said he wanted a match with Heyman and that Maddox better book it. Maddox said he'll have an elimination handicap match with Axel and Heyman at Night of Champions, and he said if Heyman tries not to show up or tries to get away, he will never be seen again. And Punk said in reply, if you don't make this match, or if that doesn't happen, you'll never be seen again. So
interesting.
I wonder what this does, though, because if it's at Night of Champions,
it'd be for the IC belt.
It'd be for the IC title. In theory, I just can't see Punk being the IC champion. Although
Paul Heyman will win it.
Kind of would be cool. That might be a possibility. That you'd think would be a triple threat match, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe Axel gets put in another match.
Maybe.
It's possible.
I think Punk is going to pin Axel, turn around, get hit with a chair or something, and then Heyman pins him and he's the new champ. If it's an elimination match.
Yeah, but it's not a championship scramble. So, I mean, I think the title wouldn't be going back.
Well, elimination.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. But I don't think this will be the end of the Punk-Heyman feud, I guess is all I can think of. I think we'll keep going with that.
Yeah. Los Matadors had their vignette again. It was second of the night?
Yeah.
And it's Primo and Epico with Mass. And I just can't... I love creative because they're so obvious with everything. I just can't imagine them going up to Primo and Epico going, they're like, we got this great new angle for you guys. And they're like, oh, yeah, what is it? You're going to be Matadors. And you're like, oh. Okay, it's kind of on the nose there, isn't it? You know, I don't get it.
They can have fun with it, though. If they embrace it and they make the most of it, like Brodus Clay has done with his Funkasaurus gimmick, or at least did at first, they could do something with it. And if they make it comical, and I hate to say that because I like comedic wrestling, but I don't like WWE's comedic wrestling because it usually just means you're going to be a jobber. But if they can make it, if they can somehow make it comical and have these guys be successful, then go for it. that's my gripe about 3MB. 3MB needs to win some matches, and we had one of our listeners comment on that too. He said Tons of Funk and 3MB need to have some quality matches and quality wins in order to be taken seriously as tag teams. And I agree with him. We have a lot of talented tag teams. Big Show and Mark Henry are probably going to fight Shield for the tag titles at Night of Champions. After SmackDown, at least we saw Henry and Show fight. I think they fought. I want to say they beat. I can't remember who they beat. It escapes me. It was a tag team. And it was 3MB. They beat Slater they beat Jinder and McIntyre.
Don't hinder Jinder.
Hinder's your favorite band, isn't it? Lips of an Angel.
Pretty much.
So if they're funny and successful, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, jobbers have always had their place in WWE. They're always going to be there, but I like when they use the local talent sometimes, instead of just crushing, the same guys over and over.
But now with TV being as common as it is, you don't need these enhancement matches. You don't need squash matches because guys are getting an opportunity to be seen. I know back when in the territorial days, or not even the territorial days, back in the early TV days of the 1980s with WWF, they would have these enhancement matches because they'd have one big angle at the end of the show, and then everything else was an enhancement match because then you could say oh, did you see Hercules destroy that that Sandy Beach guy?
Yeah.
And that was the name of an actual jobber.
Oh, really?
Or Red Tyler. And then they'd be well, let's go get tickets to that house show that's coming. And I don't even think they called them house shows back then. I don't think the public called them house shows back then. Oh, they're going to be here. We got to go see Hercules swing that chain and beat people up. So they would just do that.
Yeah,
because they didn't rely on TV as much.
And the big guys never really fought each other, which always made, when they did fight each other, you didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah.
Because they'd never, they haven't lost 8 times in a row to the same guy on TV, so that they had that going for it. But I think I prefer the way they have it now. But
and that's the irony of my fandom is when I was a kid, I never got pay-per-views. The only pay-per-view as a kid that I saw was Survivor Series one year because I rented it a few months after it happened.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'd watch all of the TV and then I'd be oh my gosh, who's going to win that match? And then I would have to wait usually until the next aired TV program, which usually would be that Monday night. It was pre-Raw.
Yeah.
But then you'd find out, oh, so-and-so beat so-and-so, or you'd somehow read about it. And it was a mystery, which was a pretty cool feeling. But I like having everything on free TV now, and you get to see marquee guys fight.
I remember when I was young, going to Video Vision, and they had an end cap with the WrestleManias and stuff, and Hogan Andre and Hogan Warrior, and I would always ask my mom to rent them, and she never would. So I never got to watch them, and I'd see Hogan and Hogan was my guy, and I'm and I had heard that Hogan had lost to Warrior, and I wouldn't believe it. I'm no way, come on, it's Hogan, he never loses, and I finally saw that match, and I'm well, shit. But
when did you finally get those? Did your mom ever what was her rationale? I mean, was it most parents who didn't want their kids to watch wrestling?
Yeah, but and I remember watching Raw for the very first time, and they had Tiny Tim or whatever his name was, with the guy with the violin ukulele or whatever. Yeah, that was the first time I watched Raw, and I messed it up because I thought it started at 9 because I didn't understand 9, 8 Central and all that. Yeah. So I saw the very end of it because I think it was only an hour show at the time. And I was so bummed. I'm oh, and then I'd try to watch. I remember watching.
Well, no, Raw would have always been 8 to 10.
Was it always 8 to 10? Okay, well, I somehow messed it up where I only saw the very end of it.
Okay.
And then I remember watching Bret Hart take on Bob Backlund in that I Quit match. Mm-hmm. Or submission match where they threw in the towel.
Yeah.
and I was watching that on the scrambled pay-per-view channel where it would barely come in, but you could hear the announcers talk.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that. Those are like my earliest memories of watching wrestling.
It's funny, I have a similar one. And it would have been a submission match because the I Quit match debuted in 99 with The Rock and Mankind at Royal Rumble. But I was watching, was it WrestleMania? Correct me if I'm wrong. WrestleMania... Was Flair Macho Man, was that 5 or 7?
That was 8.
8, I was totally off. WrestleMania 8 was on, and I turned it to channel 54, which back then I think would have been Bresnan. This was pre-charter.
Oof.
And what you could do is, the TV my parents had, if you turned it with the remote to a channel, and we didn't have that channel, it would automatically start going up to another channel until it was on an actual channel that existed. So the trick was you'd hit 54 and then hit power on the TV to shut it off, and then you turn it on so it would start on 54 and stay.
Nice.
And then every few seconds I'd get to hear Gorilla Monsoon make the call of the Flair Macho Man match, and Savage won the title from Flair. It was so sweet.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, kids these days don't have that up because it's just blacked out. You know? But I remember watching a lot of stuff that way. Some other stuff too. So our main event was the Gauntlet with the Shield against Daniel Bryan. Whole roster is out watching, and it was awesome seeing the Big Show up there because he's got that guaranteed contract, shaking his head. The little blonde girl was interviewing. I call her Michelle Tafoya.
Renee Young.
Renee Young?
Yes, Young.
Is that what you said?
Why do you struggle with names?
I don't know. I'm just bad. Renee Young. She's talking to Big Show. Big Show won't say anything.
Or is it Renee Rod?
I think it's Rob Young. Yeah. And so the match starts. Tyler Black takes on Daniel Bryan's... Bryan Danielson. I'm sorry. It was Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins. Awesome match. I mean, these guys can put on a match in a paper box or whatever. I don't know.
A paper box. I'm gonna let that one go.
It's been a weird day for me.
Yeah, it has. This is the earliest we've recorded too.
Yeah, it is.
It's a 1 p.m. It's not that early, but it's the earliest we've recorded.
They had an awesome, I don't even know what to call it. It was a superplex, and
oh god, it was like a German suplex. It was a German suplex, and there's
a German superplex.
I think there's a name for the way Rollins did the extra flip, and I cannot think of it right now. But it was pretty much a German suplex.
It was an awesome plex.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And Daniel Bryan followed it up with his knee to the face for the win. I'm assuming this because WWE didn't show it. They were cutting to the crowd chanting yes.
Yeah.
Like an idiot. Oh, man, that was dumb. Ambrose enters next and is almost immediately put into the yes lock. And Reigns attacks him to break the hold, and Ambrose is DQ'd, which was good because Ambrose can't take a pin or a submit right now because he's still champ, never lost. Reigns is next in the ring then to take on Bryan, third in the gauntlet, and he is almost immediately put into the yes lock as well. Then, of course, the entire Shield attack and a big spear by Reigns. Triple H comes out. Shield hit their traditional triple power bomb on Daniel Bryan. Triple H stares down all the roster that's standing out on the entrance ramp, basically saying like, "Yep, just watch your back. This could happen to you if you don't stay in line." Even the Big Show is kind of cowering to Triple H, which is cool. Orton comes out, heads to the ring, and hits the RKO on Daniel Bryan to finish the show. It did what it needed to do. I liked it.
I like it in the sense that we're going to have more on SmackDown. We're going to have more on Raw next week. Like I said, give this one time to breathe. Maybe somebody could say this was a disappointment compared to last week's show.
Sure.
But again, give it time.
Yeah.
I like what they're doing. I like that they are incorporating other people. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Big Show turn heel like he's prone to do every few weeks and join up with Triple H.
I like...
As is heavy.
Yeah. But I was actually excited for Big Show to do something. Like, I'm never excited for Big Show to do... But now I'm like, oh man, he's got that guaranteed contract. He could rough him up a little bit and not worry about it. But even he cowered, and I just love heel Triple H and heel Orton together. They're just so, even Triple H, just little things like he's like he did the like spread the sea like the Moses for like get out of the fucking way basically for all the wrestlers on the entrance ramp and parting of the sea there. It was cool.
I've been saying for months WWE needs a heel Triple H and a heel Randy Orton, and we have it, and it's a thing of beauty. So I'm excited.
Me too. Bring
on Dave Bautista.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be Vince's champion at WrestleMania.
Oh, possibly. They have my attention, and the programming is quality. And after seeing NXT these past 2 episodes, wow, they're in good hands for a while.
Yeah.
The development center is going to make it, or the performance center is going to make it even better. And I mean, we still can judge feud by feud, storyline by storyline, match by match, but they have some terrific talent, and I like that the focal point right now is Triple H, Orton, Bryan. Once Punk gets done with his Heyman thing, you have to imagine that the only spot for him is back in the main event.
Yeah.
And I'll be excited the first time that Triple H is in the ring cutting a promo, and then Punk's music starts to interrupt, and you know that they're going to go back to the 2011 promo where he said Vince's doofus son-in-law, and that was intentional. That all was intentional, and that was the minor function that will serve for the major function that happens weeks from now and months from now, and I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
The match I guarantee we'll see at some point, Triple H and Randy Orton taking on Daniel Bryan and CM Punk.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, it'll be a good one. Cool. And the bummer is that back in 2011 we had that Triple H Punk match, and Punk lost.
Just a heat-seeking missile, Triple H. That was.
I didn't like.
They just ruined the whole angle. It was bad. It was poorly managed. But this looks like it's better.
Yeah,
I like it. They got the players right. They got the whole scenery is there. They just got to act out the play now.
And then what if along with Punk you hear woo woo woo?
I don't know. Then we'll probably see a loss by Zack Ryder.
Oh my God, it's Kane, and Zack Ryder's in a wheelchair again, and there's stairs.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the show for the week, guys. We hope you liked it. Check us out on Twitter at ImmortalsPcast, at 97Bush, at Jimmy Bellamy. Check out Wrestle News as well, WrestleNews.com with a Z, at Wrestle News on Twitter. That's all I got.
Take everything a day at a time and enjoy that week.
All right. Peace.